Hi guys, it's Jess from Honest Fiction, and welcome back to my channel. So not only did I recently celebrate my 4-year Booktube anniversary, but as of 2 days ago, I have left the job that I've had for the past 11 years. So in today's video, I'm going to be answering all your questions about Booktube, why I chose to leave education, and my personal life. Alright guys, so it has been quite a while since I've done a Q&A, so I asked over on my Instagram and my community page for you guys to leave me questions about absolutely anything, and you did not disappoint. So I did try to organize the questions a little bit, so I'm going to start off with Booktube and reading, so this includes content creation, questions about Booktube, and also just books in general. Then I'm going to move into why I left education, what I plan on doing now, and then I'll end it with my personal life. I had a lot of really fun questions for that section, so I am really excited just to chat with you guys. Now, there are quite a lot of questions, so let's get this started. If you are unfamiliar with my channel, I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram, Goodreads, and Patreon, all linked down below. With all that out of the way, let's get into these questions. Alright guys, so starting out with Booktube and just reading in general. Now there were a lot of questions about content creation, which is so exciting. It seems like a lot of people want to start Booktube channels, and I'm actually considering doing an updated version of my Booktube 101 video because so much has changed with YouTube and the algorithm and things like that. So let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. But first up we have tips advice for someone who works full-time but wants to create content consistently. This is unbelievably difficult, and it's something that I still struggle with to this day. So what works for me is I look at a calendar, I figure out what days I want to post, and then I bulk film every other Saturday. That's just what my schedule used to allow. Now that I'm changing up how I work or when I work, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep that schedule, but that's what I was doing for the last 4 years. I was filming at least 3 to 4 videos every Saturday, changing my outfit and trying to change my makeup up a little bit, and then editing the videos that day, and then just having those videos in bulk kind of on the back burner and slowly releasing them. Now, there are other content creators that have like month-long plans and film their videos really far in advance. I've never been able to do that. It's just not something I'm good at. So that is kind of what worked for me. It is really hard. Just make sure you have a good work and social life balance. I know that I was really struggling last year. I felt like I wasn't seeing my friends. I wasn't doing anything besides Booktube. So make sure, or try to make sure, that you don't get too burnt out. But it can be really difficult to upload consistently when you are working full-time. Another thing is vlogging. Vlogging's super easy, that you can just do it throughout your day and then compile those clips into a vlog. I feel like when I was starting to feel really overwhelmed, that worked for me. Now, vlogs don't do very well on my channel, so I haven't really been doing them recently, but I think that's my best advice for you. If anyone has any other advice, please leave it down in the comments below. Next up is your favorite type of video to make. This has really changed. So it used to be tier rank videos. However, I now find them such a pain to edit. I honestly like TBRs and wrap-ups just because they're a very easy, simple video to film. Any sort of video that I feel like I've spent a lot of time kind of designing or coming up with, I love making those videos because it feels like a creative outlet. But just off the top of my head, I can't think of any video that I really... Oh, I used to love the reread, rewrite, and burn videos. I haven't done one in a while. I might do one this month. Those are so much fun just because it is like a game and I am highly competitive, so it's like a game with myself. But those are some of my favorites. Let's see. It feels so weird just doing this off the cuff. I'm someone who normally like edits a lot of my video, and I plan on leaving all of this in. So we'll see how this video turns out in comparison to my other ones. Okay, this next one is, how did you grow your channel? That is a wonderful question. I have no earthly idea. Besides being very consistent and trying not to miss upload days, I did start out only uploading 1 day a week. And honestly, if you're starting out on Booktube, I feel like that might be the best way to go. Even if you feel like you can push out 2 or 3, if you don't think you're going to be able to consistently keep up with that, maybe just start out with one and slowly release those videos. I feel like I started out with one for my first year. Then in my second and third year, I was posting 2 videos a week, and I am still only posting 2 videos a week, despite the fact that I have left my job and I do have more free time. I just don't think I could realistically put out 3 videos and have them be the quality that my other videos are. So that, I think, helped grow my channel. Also, I was very fortunate that I got into recap videos pretty early, and my recap videos really helped push me over in terms of views and subscribers. I was doing recap videos of popular fantasy romance books before they released, and I try to still do them. I will do one for Fourth Wing and some of those other popular fantasies, but they are very time consuming to film, so I haven't been making them recently, but I feel like that did definitely help me grow my channel. Also, making friends in the community, doing a lot of collabs, trying to get myself out there, which is very difficult because I am an introvert. I feel like that also kind of helped with the growing of my channel. But honestly, YouTube, sometimes some people will absolutely blow up after only 2 months of making videos. Other people, it could take 6 years. I really don't understand how the algorithm works. I thought I did. I do not. So there's that, but it's really a guessing game. Ooh, I like this question. How long does it take you to make a new video, usually from idea to read and upload, or make and upload? So this, depending on the type of video, can be like a 7-hour thing. I know my House of Sky and Breath recap video took me a solid 17 hours from beginning to record it to uploading that video. That took me so unbelievably long. That is the longest video I have ever filmed, and I will never reread that book. So the recap videos can take quite a while. Now, if I am doing a wrap-up video or TBR video, I can film that video in about 20 minutes, depending on the length. There's not a lot of editing involved. I have a lot of templates already made. So those are pretty quick. I can probably film, edit, upload, do the description in about 4 or 5 hours, which there are other content creators out here who can do that in way less time. Unfortunately, I'm just not one of them. I really like editing. I find a lot of fulfillment in editing. I see it as a creative outlet. So that's why my videos, if you've noticed, have a lot going on in terms of editing. But if I didn't do that, I could probably film videos and get them out a lot quicker. So yeah, it can definitely take a while, but it really is dependent upon the type of video. All right, how do you make consistent income on YouTube? And then someone else said, do you make good money on Booktube? Is it enough to support yourself? Asking because I want to start. Here's the thing. Booktube in general, I feel like I don't make very much on Booktube. I can do an entire video on how much I make and my views and what that means in terms of what I make and things like that. If you guys are interested, I have no problem sharing. But I would say this last month, I probably made more than previous months. I feel like every month it goes up by like $20 or $30. Now, if I have a video that does very well, like a recap video or a spicy fantasy romance tier rank, then those videos or those months, the payout will obviously be greater. Would it be enough to support myself, just Booktube? Definitely not. Definitely not. I do not make enough through Booktube. Luckily, I do have a Patreon that I honestly make the same amount from my Patreon than I do my Booktube. And I have worked with sponsors in the past and things like that that are able to generate money. So I can see someone making a living out of it, especially if they grow their following, gain a lot of views. It is 100% possible. I have friends that do it. Jen from the Book Refuge, she's doing it. I have other friends. So it's definitely possible. I think Elliot Brooks, Murphy Napier, I think they both consistently just do content creation. However, I also think that is slightly terrifying. So I never thought I would leave my job to pursue doing Booktube and a few other things full-time. However, I am so happy and I think it's a lot better for my mental health. But it's definitely something that you could try, see how it works. But yeah, let me know if you guys are interested in doing a whole like Booktube and money type video, because I would love to share all of my thoughts on that. Favorite part of being a booktuber? There's a lot. I absolutely love the friendships I've made. I feel like that is a very cliche answer, but I have made amazing friends in this community. I get so many different book recommendations. My job is essentially reading books that I enjoy reading, so I absolutely love everything that entails. So I also, like I said in a lot of the other answers, it's a creative outlet. I love making graphics and things like that. And it's really just a sense of community. I recently discovered going to book signings, and they have been so much fun. I'm very upset I wasn't able to get a ticket to a Polycon. I'm still searching for a ticket, but I will be going to a bunch of different signings over the next year. So I have Indies Invade Philly coming up next week. I'm so excited. And then the Imaginarium, Gowns and Crowns. There's a bunch of signings I'm going to. So I feel like I never would have discovered any of that if it wasn't for Booktube. So that is one of my favorite things about being a booktuber. There's a lot of benefits that come with it and a lot of great things. There are some really stressful and some kind of negative things that also come along. But overall, I am so happy I discovered Booktube and started doing this. I can't believe it's been 4 years and I'm still absolutely in love with it. So there's that. Let's see. Okay, so now moving a little bit into reading. Rate your favorite type of reading from top to bottom, but this person is talking about audiobooks, Kindle versus physical book. So I've talked about this in the past. I do have dyslexia, so it is very hard for me to read physical books. I did take speed reading courses when I was younger. I'm not exactly sure why my parents thought that was the best idea when I was diagnosed with dyslexia pretty young, but it did help me get through most of high school and college. However, I really prefer just to listen to audiobooks. I will follow along and physically read, but it is very much a struggle for me to read books physically. So I would say audiobooks are my top. And then probably ebooks, because there is a certain font I'm able to put on my Kindle that makes it a little bit easier to read. And then last would be physical books. I almost rarely ever just read a physical book unless, one, I'm on vacation and it's just I have nothing really else to do and I can just slowly read, or if I'm listening with an audiobook. So that's that list. And then what genre is most out of your comfort zone? That is a really good question. I'm not really sure because I feel like I used to love historical fiction and thrillers. That was all I used to read. Maybe, and no, because I used to love memoirs. Some monster romance might be a little out of my comfort zone. There are a few C.M. Nacosta books that I was like, I don't know if I can keep reading this. So some books like that. But any specific genre, I'm really open to reading anything. I do obviously primarily talk about romance and fantasy romance on this channel, but I also love high fantasy, Sanderson, books like that. The Will of the Many is another book I absolutely loved. And yeah, I'm really open to reading most things. And moving into why I decided to leave education and what I will be doing now. So this is really the inspiration for this video. I never in a million years thought I would be leaving education. I have worked with kids pretty much since I've started working. When I was a senior in high school, I was a camp counselor, and then I also worked at an extended daycare. I did that through the first few years of college, and then after I graduated college, I graduated with a dual major in psychology and gender studies. I worked at Bancroft, which is a residential facility, but I actually worked at the residential facility specifically for young kids who could not stay at home because of severe behaviors. And it was a very tough job, but I very much enjoyed it. And then after leaving Bancroft, I worked for the company that I currently actually still work for, and I will get into that, but I am not going to name them or discuss them in any way. I want to keep that completely private, but I love my company and I loved what I did. So the reason that I left is a lot to do with just being completely burnt out. It is a very, very tough job. And I feel like since COVID and the lockdown, it has become increasingly more difficult. And I do not want to hate on education in any way. And anyone who wants to become a teacher, I absolutely applaud you. It is an unbelievably difficult job and it is becoming more difficult by the day. But I was coming home from work almost sobbing every single day this year, and I just didn't think I could take it anymore. So after having a very long discussion with my husband, we decided that I was making enough and generating enough of an income from Patreon and YouTube, and I also have a side job that I've not talked about. I do indexing on the side, that it would be feasible for me to leave and pursue a dream that I've had for a while that I never thought would come to fruition, but it seems like that is actually going to come true. So with all of that out of the way, let us get into these questions. So starting off, we have, What is your current occupation? So like I said, I did leave my company. I will no longer be working in schools. However, during my exit interview of the company I was leaving, they offered me a part-time secretary position. So I will be doing that for the future. It is only a few hours every morning, but at least allows me to kind of stay in contact with my company and the things going on, and allows me to kind of stay a little bit in that environment because I do love working with kids. It is, once again, something I never thought I wouldn't be doing. So I am very thankful that they are allowing me to do that. But I will be doing that. I also, like I said, my father actually owns a indexing business and I work for him part-time. So I will continue to do that, probably do that a little bit more. And I will be doing something very exciting, or announcing something very exciting, on December 1st. I will have a website that will be up, and that will kind of explain what I plan on doing moving forward. So once again, that will be starting on December 1st, and I am so unbelievably excited. I have been working on this website and this business for the past 2 months. It has been such an undertaking and so much harder than I thought it was going to be, but I am really, really looking forward to it. It does involve graphics and design, which is something I absolutely love. So that will be happening on December 1st, and I'll kind of be explaining that as we get closer. But you guys can be on the lookout for that. So I am super, super pumped. So that is what I will currently be doing, and also spending a lot more time on content creation, my Patreon, and a lot of other fun things I plan on doing with my YouTube channel. So I'm just very excited about having a little bit more time, kind of going off of the previous section where someone said, how do you juggle a full-time job and content creation? It was so unbelievably difficult. I was just getting so burnt out. So I'm very excited to now have the freedom and the time to make the videos that I really want to make and read the books that I really want to read. So overall, I'm just very excited, but also kind of sad about leaving. This next question was so good. What inspiration made you get into education in the first place? Does that same inspiration drive your self-employment and booktubing, or have you found new inspiration? I think I have found new inspiration, but also I haven't. So essentially, I really didn't know what I was getting into when I graduated from college. My family is filled with social workers, teachers, and psychologists, so I kind of thought I would just go that route along with all of them. So I ended up going to Rutgers, New Brunswick, which is my college, for psychology, just because it seemed interesting. And then while I was majoring in psychology, I became really interested in gender studies and human sexuality and things like that. Ended up double majoring, wasn't planning on doing that. And then when I graduated, I wasn't exactly sure what to do. So with a psychology degree, it's very hard to find a job without a master's. So I ended up landing in Bancroft. It was the first place that would hire me that had benefits. And I just fell in love with ABA and everything that entails. Now, I know that is very controversial these days. Not as many people are fans of ABA, but I just found it very interesting. And it kind of went from there, and that led me to working in schools, and I loved it. I absolutely loved watching kids progress and get their milestones, and I found it so unbelievably rewarding, and I really enjoyed it. Now, as I have done Booktube, it is a completely different feeling of success. I feel like I am very proud of what I create with Booktube and my graphics and things like that. It is very much a creative outlet, like I've said before, and it just has a very different feeling. I feel like when I was working with kids, I was very excited for them and to see them achieve these things and grow. I just thought it was so magical. And with Booktube, it's a very different sort of feeling. I feel like I am so proud of myself for being able to create this content and for people to actually view it and enjoy it. And anytime someone tells me they read a book and absolutely loved it based off a recommendation, that also makes me excited. So I guess there's a lot of mixed emotions and feelings. I don't know if they're exactly the same, but really good question. I absolutely love that question. What would you say to encourage someone who is facing a similar crossroad? Do what is best for you, and your mental health matters so, so much. I know that I've had a lot of talks with a lot of friends that also work in education that are considering leaving, and it is so scary. So really just prioritize your mental health and yourself. You are what is most important. So that is really only the only advice I can give. I feel like this is a very chaotic segment. I apologize for that. But prioritizing yourself, your mental well-being, your family is always the most important thing. So while I do think that education is an amazing profession, if it is not working for you and you are feeling burnt out and just not doing well, then there are other options for you, and I would definitely look into them. I feel like that was very negative, but you got to do what's best for you. And goal. What are you most looking forward to working for yourself? I think I kind of already answered this. I'm very excited just to have more time to make the content I want to make, to read the books that I really want to read that I haven't had time for, and also just creating this thing that is solely something that I have created and I am in control of. And if it goes wrong, it's because of something I did, not because of something someone else did. It's all on me, which is scary, but also so exciting. And I just cannot wait to have this business for myself once it starts on December 1st. I am very much looking forward to it. What was the tipping point in you deciding to leave education? I don't really want to go into that, but I feel like it was more to do with not the kids or anything to do with working with the kids. I feel like it had a lot to do with how education has changed since COVID, our expectations, what we expect and what we allow in schools, and a lot of things like that. Once again, I really don't want to get into it, but I feel like that was the tipping point. And it really had very, very little to do with kids or working with kids or anything like that. I think a lot of it had to do more with administration and what has been, or how schools have been changing since the lockdown and everything that went on with that. So ever since then is really when I started thinking about possibly leaving, and finally decided it was time. I liked this question. It doesn't really fit, but it kind of does. If money was no concern, what would you like to do as a job? I would love to own a fantasy romance or romantasy bookstore. I thought that would be so cool. I live near Princeton, like downtown Princeton, and I feel like if I could have like a little shop set up there, it would be absolutely amazing. Now, I don't know anything about owning a bookstore, so obviously this is not something that would end up happening. So if that was something I would absolutely love to do. If money was no concern, I could just get a shop and just sell books. I would absolutely love that. And the last few questions are all regarding my personal life. So the first and my absolute favorite question is, what's your cat's origin story? So for those of you who don't know, I have 3 cats, Arya, Luca, and Foley. Arya is my cat. I got her when I was in college, my final year at college. My roommate and myself ended up finding out that there were cats available, or kittens available. Turns out that there was a stray cat that was found outside. It gave birth to kittens. They were way too young for us to adopt, so we ended up bottle feeding these 2 cats, one of them being Arya. And she is the neediest kitty ever, and it is probably because of that. She was very much just a little tiny baby when I got her. So my roommate and I ended up parting ways in a very bad way. So she took 1 cat, I took Arya, and it's been fine ever since. And then when I met my now husband, and actually one of the questions is how my husband and I met, he decided that Arya was very much attached to me and he wanted his own cat. So we went to this shelter, put our names down, and I swear 2 days later, they were like, hey, we have this gorgeous long-haired kitten. We don't know where she came from. We named her Loca because she's crazy. Would you guys like her? So we went to pick her up, and I remember this so well because the night before we had slept in a dinosaur museum in Philadelphia, and then we left to pick up a kitten like that morning, and I was like, this is the best weekend ever. So then we got Luca. She is a very, very interesting cat. She, I will say, definitely likes my husband more than she likes me, but she is terrified of pretty much everything, and we have no idea why, because nothing bad has ever happened to her, but she's just very, very spazzy. But we absolutely love her. She's very, very beautiful. And then we have Foley. Now, for those of you who are familiar with my channel, you know the war me and Foley have had since he has come into my life. Foley and I do not get along. He is very much my husband's cat. It was 2017, because it was the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Don't know why I remember that. We got a call that my husband, who works for a construction machine selling type place, I'm probably going to give it away when I give you my cat's name, He had sold a machine to a customer, and the customer called and said, hey, there's a bunch of kittens in this machine in the motor. Can you take them? So we ended up, they were given to someone to raise. Unfortunately, a lot of the kittens didn't make it, but one of them did. And the person that was raising it called us and said, hey, like, this kitten has to go up for adoption. Would you guys like it? So we did not want to take said kitten, but when we went just to visit, obviously we fell in love and we took him home and we named him Foley because he was found in a Foley machine. So after that, we then had 3 cats. Now, Foley and I, once again, we do not get along. I think it's because I forced him into an Eagles jersey pretty much every single year, and he is not a fan of that. And because of that, he eats all of my books if he gets into my office. Like, he just full-on gnaws on them. So we have a very love-hate relationship. I will say, as he's aged and I've kind of calmed down a little bit with putting him into outfits, we have gotten along a little bit better, but it's still a work in progress. So that is my cat origin story. Have you traveled internationally? Unfortunately, I have not. So Puerto Rico, I've gone to a few times, but that does not count as international. And then my husband and I have gone on vacation to a few different islands. We have been, I don't know. I think we've been to Mexico. Honestly, it all blends together. We have been to Jamaica. I really want to get to Spain at some point. My friend Isa lives in Spain, in Madrid, so I really, really, really would love to visit her. I do have family also in Spain that I would like to eventually visit. I really want to go to Ireland. My mom's side of the family is from Ireland. My cousin actually, I believe, spent her honeymoon in Ireland. So that is somewhere I would also like to visit. But I would love to travel more. It's just honestly time and money, a little bit, but mostly time. Next up is, how did you and your husband meet? I love telling this story. My husband does not love this story. I was working at a tanning salon in college, honestly, because it is such a great job. If you are a college student, all you do is sit at a desk, and I did homework and I watched TV, and it was just the chillest and best job I've ever had. So that being said, I was working at the tanning salon. My husband, who never tanned before in his life, was going on vacation. He was afraid of getting burnt, so he ended up signing up. Now, when I was in college, I looked very different. I had a nose ring, a lip ring, and I was just pierced head to toe. And So I definitely went through like a phase. So he was interested, but at the time I was dating somebody else. But anyway, he ended up signing up for a month, and then he wasn't getting any tanner. So I kept asking him like, hey, do you want to go in longer? Like, something's wrong. Do you want to use this lotion? All this to say, he was not actually going in the machine. He was just going in, turning it on, so that way we could continue kind of talking. And then I, like I said, was dating somebody, so we didn't talk for a while. We kind of went our separate ways. That wasn't until our friend ended up getting a job at the company my husband works for, and she was like, hey, you know that girl that used to work at the tanning salon? She's single now, so why don't you DM her on Instagram? And that was many, many years ago, over a decade. So we have been together ever since. His entire family thought we met at CVS for a very long time. And then we had to break it to him that actually he was tanning. So that is where we met. There's only a few left. The next one is, what is your current favorite song? This is so hard because I just fixate on songs, and then after that, I don't want to hear them again. But currently, it's Think of It All. I forget exactly who sings it. I know Joe Jonas is one of the singers, but it's not the Jonas Brothers, and it's not DNCE. It's like a different group of people. Love that. I also love The House is Burning Down. I think it's by Alex Warren. Been loving that, especially since leaving my job. I felt it just really encompassed all of my feelings. And then For Crying Out Loud by Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother. That song gets stuck in my head so often. So those are a few. And then next up is favorite hobbies besides books. I love board games. My husband and I are actually going to PAX Unplugged in about 3 weeks in Philadelphia. We used to play competitive board games. I've said this in pretty much all of my Q&As. So we absolutely love board games. Also concerts. We love concerts. I love music. Andrew McMahon's my absolute favorite artist of all time. I've seen him well over 20 times at this point. Any sort of concert that we can go to, I absolutely love just going to concerts. And then last up is, if you were in a rom-com, who would you cast as your love interest? This I really struggled with because my immediate reaction was Cillian Murphy, but he's actually gotten kind of old now. Not Not that he's old, it's just I don't think of him as like a male lead like I used to, because Cillian Murphy used to be my #1 crush. So I'm not really sure. Probably Henry Cavill, which I know, I feel like that's such a basic answer, but I also thought like Jacob Elordi, but I feel really old compared to him. So yeah, I don't really have a really good answer. Let's just stick with Henry Cavill and call it a day. So if I was in a rom-com, I would love for Henry Cavill to be the male lead. However, he's typically not my type. Typically my type is more like Cillian Murphy, if that makes any sense. All right, guys, that is it for my Q&A. If you have any other questions, please leave them down in the comments below, and I will try to answer them as quickly as possible. And I'd like to say a special thank you to my Paladin protectors, Amanda, Erin, Leslie, Kat, and Lotta. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. And once again, thank you everyone who has watched this video. So I said this already, I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye!